Welcome back to Rudy's Roundtable. Today's guest is Bryan Turkel. Bryan is a certified professional coach, facilitator, speaker, and a great friend. Welcome to the show.
Dude, so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Dude, I'm just so glad I nailed that intro. Off camera, I've tried like 3 or 4 times just for context.
Hopefully the fancier I get, the longer my intro will be. I just want by the time I'm a year from now doing podcasts, I just want them to unroll that scroll from have trumpets flare in
So many titles and everything.
Exactly. That's what the dream is, isn't it?
Dude, I love that. I love that. You always hear it in ancient tales and everything and stories. Every story, of course, has a beginning, but I'm so curious about the story before the story. So can you tell us a little bit about your story, maybe growing up, and how you got all the way here to Texas?
Yeah, so it's definitely looked a lot more like a scavenger hunt than a direct flight. I'll tell you that for free. And so I grew up in Connecticut, and my story, I would say, really started when I was 2 years old, when my life started changing. My older sister, who was a couple years older than me, very suddenly passed away from an autoimmune disease. And then a few years after that, my little brother was born. And then a few years after that, we adopted my older cousin. So by age 7, I had already been the youngest, the only, the oldest, and then now I'm the middle child.
Wow.
So it's a lot of hats to wear growing up. And my path was really defined by athletics growing up. I know it doesn't this isn't Texas football. This is Connecticut football, where little white boys like me roam free.
It's different on the East Coast.
Yes, it's a different sport down here. But I broke my wrist my second game of my senior season, and I didn't tell anybody because I was getting recruited to play football in college. And I was kind of driven by these naive notions of glory and fighting through the pain and being oh my God, this was something I fought through this. And Rudy, do you remember the Fairchester Championship game of 2010?
I can't say I do.
I don't either, and neither does anybody. And so I had my first surgery right after the season ended, which did not take. So I had a second surgery a few months after that. And then in reality, I never should have played in college. But that's all I really knew how to do. Football and wrestling were my life growing up, and I got recruited to play football in college. And then I took a beating, my wrist just got worse and worse throughout the season. And then actually my last play of my football career was a concussion. And
wow.
I don't even remember it. I just remember running, and then I woke up on the sideline.
It really is that.
Just that's it. And
wow.
And then I had to have my third surgery a few months after that. And at that point, I knew that I could not play football anymore. And I knew kind of in my heart of hearts, before I really admitted to myself, this was not the right college for me. Because my entire college search was based off of getting recruited to play football.
What was your emotional state, mental state during that time?
It was it was a huge amount of physical pain. And it was also a lot of shame that I did this to myself, that there's nobody that I could have blamed because I went from being a state champion wrestler and then a year and a half later, almost not being able to do a push-up.
Complete identity just broken.
Complete. I had hooked my identity into being this warrior, this guy who played through the pain, this guy who left it all out in the field, but without a field to leave it on anymore, I didn't know who I was anymore. And then I was at this college, which was a complete, not fit for me. Because again, my college search was driven by football. And so that really limited my college choice down to whoever really needed a 5'9" Jew to play running back. And so UT did not answer my phone calls.
Short supply there.
Yeah, exactly. And so in reality, I should have gone to an all-American college with a good Greek system. And because that would have been giving me a place to plug in as a team for, because I grew up on teams. But here I was at this ultra liberal, ultra PC, college in California, which was, it's a great college. And here's where the thing came in. It was okay, I because like how Division III scholarships work, they don't give you any money. There's like, listen, if you give us your early decision application, the one that's binding, we'll just fucking pull your dumb ass through admissions. Like, like I could not have gotten into the school otherwise.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, like this is not the right school for me. But I traded my body to get here.
Yeah.
So
literally,
like, what do I do? And so I had a really hard time in college, which was, punctuated by my 4th surgery a year after that. So pretty much from ages 18 to 20, I had 4 surgeries on my dominant hand, which really, like, the last one was a fusion. They removed one of the bones from my wrist, the one that like was just there for show at that point, and they fused the rest of them together.
What? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So what is your ability now with your hand?
So,
What's going on there?
So basically, like your wrist is a sliding joint. So like normal wrists go like this. So like this wrist can go up to here. This wrist can only do that.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's almost no function left in it.
Yeah. Wow.
And as somebody who grew up like very much like in relation to my physicality, because I didn't, like I was an athlete, but I also wasn't like playing badminton. Like I was a state champion wrestler.
Oh, yeah.
And so I and the feelings of not being able to like defend myself or not feeling confident in my body was just completely foreign. And I hated my body and I hated myself for doing this to myself. And so I kind of limped through college. I did not make many friends. I spent a lot of time alone. With the only exception being that when I had to stop playing football, I was like, okay, I am teamless and I'm not doing well. And so me and a couple of other Jewish guys in my dormitory actually started a chapter of Alpha Epsilon Pi, which is the International Jewish Fraternity at Claremont. But the thing is, so I went to Claremont McKenna, this like tiny little liberal arts school. They are known for not having fraternities. And so a lot of people like weren't thrilled that we were there.
Is it like against regulation or just not really part of the culture?
It's just they are not recognized by the school.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which put us in like this weird limbo because like we would throw a party and the deans would call me and the other members of leadership in and be like, like AEPI can't throw parties. And we're just like, well, what AEPI? Like, are you saying there's an AEPI at the school?
That's actually funny. It's hilarious.
There's like this weird like standoff between us and the administration, and like that was really kind of the only thing that held together my college experience, and that's also really where I came into really feeling my Jewish identity. Like I grew up what I like to call like Adam Sandler Jewish. Like I'm very aware that I'm Jewish and I do the major holidays, but like I didn't have any real connection to it. And then my junior year, I studied abroad at Tel Aviv University, which was a really like interesting experience because it's really like the only place in the world where like you can open up the window and just like know that other people are Jewish. Like because growing up in America, you're such a minority. There's just no other place like that. And it was also just really funny to like meet like the real Jews,
the like OGs.
It's like, and I'm like, oh, we're all Jewish. Like, no, we're Jewish. like, I don't know what you guys are doing. Like,
I'm actually really curious to know more about that. So I'm Mexican, right? Mexican American, right? My parents are full Mexican, right? Like they came over, became citizens, right? I'm the first of my family to actually be born here in the States.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious about the parallels because I sit in a cultural limbo between not being American enough because of my Mexican, identity, right?
Yeah.
Background and heritage. But when I go to Mexico, I'm also ostracized because I'm too American to be fully Mexican. So is that also similar, something you experienced in Tel Aviv, or what is that like?
It was an interesting kind of experience. And like, first I just want to say that like I traveled a lot through Latin America. I think that Latinos and Jews are very similar. Like food, family, very important, very tight-knit communities, and our women are fucking crazy too.
That's all across the board.
And no, very fiery. I like them, but but it was weird because like in the diaspora, so like when Israel was colonized by the Romans and we had a rebellion they weren't thrilled about, they destroyed our like cultural center, the temple, and then they intentionally like renamed our land to Syria Palestina, which leads to the misinterpretation of it being called Palestine today. But something happened called the diaspora, which is a Greek word that means scattering. So like Jews were intentionally sold to different parts of the world to kind of break up our identity. And so in the diaspora, it's very hard to not become assimilated. And so Jews who are very religious usually live in, tighter knit communities. But like, Jews like myself, like I'm just, I'm a regular guy, but this is my ethnicity and this is my background. It's hard to really maintain all of the stuff that it means to be Jewish when with no environment, with no like kind of like container of Jewish identity. But then in Israel, there are people who like you don't have to necessarily be observant or be Orthodox because there's such like an environment of Judaism. There's a lot of different ways to be Jewish. Whereas in the diaspora, a lot of the times it's if you're not super religious, you're going to be assimilated.
Right. Yeah, because just my experience here in Texas, very minimal contact with the Jewish culture, with the Jewish religion.
There's like 15 of us.
That's like all of like Texas. It's very, just like Latinos. Right? So for me, it's still very much a foreign concept, right? For example, like what would be like an example of just the culture? I'm guessing just the cultural aspect of. Okay, I compare maybe. Is it fair? Would it be a fair comparison, for example, where if you move to Austin and you are very much into the outdoors, well, it's going to be much easier to be into the outdoors because there's a lot of people already, culturally taking part of that. Like the city is kind of built for it as well. Is it similar to that with the religious ethnic identity in Judaism, like where when you're in that city, like everything's just kind of like there's always like kosher options, for example, to eat or like things that would be more observant. Is that kind of more? Am I in the ballpark here?
It's like I would say it's more because like it's something that is very old and it's identity based rather than interest based. And so like there's like I was born a Jew, like good days, bad days, I gotta wear that. Like there's nothing that I can do about that. Like and it's interesting because like the culture of Judaism is actually very intertwined with the religion. Jews are what's called an ethno-religious people. So we are a people with a shared ancestral homeland of Israel, shared history, traditions, culture, who have a belief system. And that's why there's even, there's Jewish DNA. There's like, when you date 23andMe, there's like a section for Jewish. And so being in Israel I kind of felt like a fake Jew. It was kind of weird. And then I actually lived there during the 2014 war with Gaza. Wow. And I was in a bomb shelter, 5-6 times a day.
Bro, what?
Yeah, like what? But like, what? Yeah. But the crazy thing is, it's like in Israel, there's this app called a Red Alert. Okay. And Red Alert basically is an app that shows you where rockets are coming in. And yeah.
Wow. Like the reality of that. Yeah. I mean, like it's like a sad reality, but at least like I don't know. There's a lot of going on there. Yeah.
And so and like my poor dad is back in Connecticut. And so he doesn't know how to like adjust the settings of the app because I was in Tel Aviv and like again like 5-6 rockets a day in a bomb shelter is not fun. But in the south of the country, they have entire towns built under bomb shelters because Israel has something called the Iron Dome, which is a missile defense system. That's like this like this like miracle of modern science that like they can track a rocket coming from Gaza and shoot their own rocket in time to intercept it.
Wow.
But in the south of the country, these rockets are in the air for like 10-15 seconds. There's just not enough time. And so, and the south of the country can get thousands, like, like in these, conflicts, I mean, notwithstanding this war, which is much bigger, but like in previous conflicts, get thousands of rockets in the summer. And my poor dad is in Connecticut not knowing how to filter for the Tel Aviv notifications. Yeah. And just the man is dying. He's like, so, but then when I felt very a part of, the tribe and the Jewish people when I was there, and I came back to school in California, and I had something really unfortunate happen to me. Like California is supposed to be like the land of like the most accepting, the most liberal, like all yada yada. So in a 5-day period, when I got back to campus, because at my school everyone lives on campus all 4 years, and in 5 days, somebody had broken my window of my dorm room and stole my Israeli flag. And then the day afterwards, Jews put something on their doorpost called a mezuzah. So a mezuzah is like this little box that goes on the door frame, and inside of the box is the holiest prayer that we have. It's like our version of the Our Father.
Okay.
And so they broke my window and stole the flag, and then which listen, like that's not how I would go about dialogue, but like, you know, you could say that's just about Israel, but then somebody came and stole my mezuzah, which is just Jewish.
Yeah, that's
And then they came back and they stole the replacement one that I put up. The third one, the school had to literally industrial glue to my door to make sure that nobody could take it.
bro. What? Like what? Like
It was
any clue
insane.
who did this or what? That's atrocious. What? Like
It
it's
was-
so like
But the thing is, like,
yeah.
like a big part of Judaism is bringing light into darkness. And so what me and my guys from the fraternity did was, when that happened, we actually bought like dozens more flags and dozens more mezuzahs, and we put out a call on campus like, hey, if you're Jewish and you want us to come set this up for you, we'll come right away and set it up.
Wow.
And so before, where it was just me and a couple of the guys who had Israeli flags and then mezuzahs, now there was like, you know, a couple dozen on campus.
Yeah.
And so that was,
What a great way to wow.
and it was probably one of the most powerful parts of my college experience. And so at my college, it's like a shuttle bus to the big four consulting firms.
Okay.
Like if you don't already have a job at Deloitte, you're going to be homeless. That's those are the only options of your career paths. And I had smoked way too much pot in college to do that. And so I had gone into a recruiting agency because I was like, okay, this is just a way to make a lot of money. And so if I do that, then like I can still like check the box of like, you know, I can still check the box of getting the goal of the Deloitte, even without the fancy title.
Right.
This was some fucking like Wolf of Wall Street awful like firm, like a bunch of young kids like printing money by lying their faces off,
going off.
Yeah. And so I burnt out of that after a year, and at that point I did what any, you know, 24-year-old in LA would do. I became a life coach.
Yeah, you got to.
What a fucking asshole I was.
I mean, you had everything figured out by then.
Yeah,
you know?
but I know I'd studied psychology in college, and I'd studied leadership, and also like a big part of my own journey was my dad gave me my first self-help book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, when I was 10 years old.
That's wild. That's actually well, really cool. But it can set like a I don't know what effect did that have on you? Would you say?
Now that I'm older and I know that my dad loved me more than anything in the world. I can appreciate the fact that he gave me that book because he wanted me to live a better life. And I'm realizing now the last couple of years that like there must have been something in my little nervous system that was like, why does this guy who I love and trust the most give me this thing that's supposed to fix me or make me better or improve me? Like, is there something wrong with me? And so I was getting my certification to become a life coach, and the certification was incredible. But I was just in way too much of my own pain at that point. Like at that point, I had gotten my 5th surgery on a different, you know, like on different part of my body. I've gotten like, right now I'm 32. I've had 7 surgeries from ages 18 to 30. Another one on my wrist, then another last one on my hip. That's basically a surgery every year and a half. And so, and my wrist wasn't doing well. So I was dealing with a lot of physical and spiritual pain. And because I thought that like this was like my penance for the choices that I had made to live this life full of pain and in isolation, and I thought this was like the appropriate, what I deserved. And I had some more odd jobs throughout my 20s, but the real through line that's been a big part of my life is while I was getting my coaching certification, I was also doing improv comedy in LA. And it started off because my cousin is an actor, and he's like, dude, just like go get out of your skin, meet some people. But then like I did the 101 and I really liked it. So I did the 201, so on and so forth. All of a sudden, it's like a year later, I'm in like the 901 course. But when you get to like the upper level of the curriculum, these are actors. They're working on their craft, and there's Bryan. Like,
Who is this guy? Why does he keep coming?
Yeah, they're like, what are you doing here? I'm like, I don't know.
I just feel like this.
But I realized that I was taking things from class and integrating them into my life. Like lessons that made good improv, I was putting into my life that was making me better emotionally regulated, better aligned with my values, and more mentally resilient. I'm like, people got to know about this. And so I developed a workshop called Self-Improvement, which I know is so corny. And I'm actually in the process of changing the name after so many years.
But the concept is golden.
Yeah.
Could you break down kind of the vision of that?
Totally. So it is an experiential modality that uses improv as the method to teach soft skills and skills. Like basically it uses active movement, role-playing games to teach skills from dialectical behavioral therapy and ACT therapy, so acceptance commitment therapy. These are skills that have helped me so much in my own life. But the thing is, like, do you remember an experience that really like taught you a lesson?
Oh, dude, a ton, yeah.
Do you remember what was on the third slide of the PowerPoint in your sophomore year of college?
No.
No. But that's the whole point of the workshop. Because if you can bury the learning in an experience, or if you can deliver the learning through an experience, it becomes unforgettable. Yeah. Because when you go back to remember the experience, the learning's in there.
Almost like a Trojan horse, right?
Yes. Thank you. That's brilliant. Okay. Yeah. A Trojan horse. That's wow. That's something I should have been saying for years.
We do that for magic and speaking, where I'll offer for companies. I'll say, okay, I can do like a magic show, but I can sneak in as a Trojan horse, like a value or like a mission statement into like the show, so it lands like more emotionally.
Oh my, that's amazing! Like it's like we first connected at Toastmasters when I saw your speech and you did some magic for me afterwards. And I was just so taken with your speech. You're an amazing speaker, and like and like afterwards we got started hanging out. You showed me the magic. It's like what. Tell me about that. How do you Trojan horse the values, the lessons through magic?
Great question. It is first, I think the technique has to be solid, kind of very similar to self-improvement. Like the activity or the container has to be good. And in this case, the magic. So the magic trick has to be really good. As an example, there's a section of magic we call closers, which are, what are the tricks that at the very end get the standing ovation that really, land next level with the audience. One of my favorite ones is at the beginning of the show, I have an envelope, sealed envelope, question mark. It's a whole bit with the audience. Ooh, no, not you. I need someone that I can trust, right? That we kind of play with everyone there.
Yeah.
It's a good way to get people involved, low stakes at the beginning, but someone has the envelope the whole show. About half an hour, 45 minutes goes by throughout the show. Near the very end, I have a group of people come up with a random number. So just on a calculator, we just throw in random numbers, 3, 4, 5, 5, 7, 5. We come up with this huge number, right? 42 million, whatever. Then I say, okay, well, is there someone out here in the audience that has the secret envelope? And so they check it out. Has anyone touched it? No, it's been with you the whole time. They open up the envelope and the numbers match exactly to what was in the envelope. So like generally literally in the moment matches that, right?
You're so lucky you lived in the modern day and not like in the medieval times.
And not like,
burnt at the stake years ago.
Easily, just as a kid, right? Or worship. I mean, it could go either way. It's either burnt at the stake or like, it's like he's like the second coming.
This is very true. Yeah.
It's like human psychology is wild, right? But the thing is, so if the company's message, for example, let's say their message is integrity, right? Like that's like their core value. That's what they're celebrating. There's a certain way to write numbers so that they're letters. So we take the numbers, like the 42 million, we flip them upside down, and upside down, it's either the company name or like integrity or like, celebrating veterans or whatever it is.
Witchcraft.
Yeah, I'll have to show you. It's a little hard to explain, but like there's a way to write a number where it's a letter upside down. Mm-hmm. And so that is one way that we kind of sneak in like a company's value or like their motto into the magic.
And so is your speech, like, even though they don't know it's written on the envelope yet, is your speech kind of building towards that value?
Yes. So in this example I just gave, that's more when it's a magic show first. So it's either the speaking takes up the majority of the portion and then a couple magic tricks throughout it.
Okay.
Or it's the magic show and there's a couple of like speaking moments throughout it. So it just depends on what the company wants. Sometimes they want more entertainment and then you kind of sneak in a little something there. Or sometimes they want the keynote and that's where you can really, I think, have more of an impact. In magic, it's very much look at me in speaking or communication workshops, it's more, hey, look at you, like how can we help you, right? Yeah. Yeah. But it's very similar with the self-improvement.
Yeah, like
with
the Trojan horse is such a great.
Yeah.
God, I've been doing this for years. Like,
So bring me up to speed then from self-improvement. How does your journey continue from there?
So I had, you know, my career before the last like year has looked a lot like the Island of Misfit Toys. Like there's just no like I worked for actually the Jewish Federation in LA. That was a nonprofit, and that was when COVID hit.
Oh,
and
wow.
And God, like it was like, you know, like talk about organizations not fit to like make a big pivot, like a dinosaur, 100-year-old bloated nonprofit. Like it's just like there's some places are like a nimble little tech company. It's a startup. Like sure, we'll just work from our computers. Like the world stopped at this place.
Yeah.
And I was living in LA, and actually this was when I had my 5th wrist surgery. And I went back home to Connecticut to get it done by a guy in New York City. And he was basically like, Bryan, like this is the last one, because if you need another one, I can redo your partial fusion. But if you need another one, it's going to be a full fusion and you'll never move your hand again.
That's the last thing you want to hear from a doctor, yeah.
And like it was like I was like, wow, like how did it come to this? Like you know, a kid who I felt so strong, and I felt like so confident, identified with like all the warriors that like I like grew up reading stories about, and I was like it and compounded by the idea that like I did this all to myself. Like and talking about like kind of that seed of wrongness that I felt those first self-help books kind of planted in me. It was like I made the wrong decision to play on my broken wrist. I made the wrong decision by staying at this college. I made the wrong decision to get out of my career to do the life coaching, and like everything felt like it made a lot of sense to me. Looking back now, that by age like 28 or 27, I was like, dude, I'm not moving, because the data shows that if I get behind the wheel, there's going to be an accident. Like I can't help but screw this up, and I was in a really bad place. And like also this, you know, at this point in time, my dad had been diagnosed with something called Lewy body dementia for, you know, 4 or 5 years at that point. And Lewy body is this horrible, very cruel disease that is basically a mix of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. And so my dad, who was a very proud man, it was very hard to watch him kind of waste away like that. And I remember it started really when I was at that recruiting firm. He was acting off, and then like I literally remember exactly where I was. I was driving my car in Santa Monica, and my dad asked me like four times the same question in the same my dad in 10 minutes asked me the same question 4 times. And at that moment I'm like, Dad, what is going on? Like tell me right now.
Yeah.
And he, you know, so like, I'll call you back, and he flew me back home to Connecticut, and he took me and my brothers out for dinner, and he told us what was going on.
Had you had any suspicion or like any signs before then, or
he was like just like a little bit forgetful, a little kind of off, but like that was like there was something about that conversation. I'm like right now, tell me. And then like he told us basically what this was going to look like. And my dad also told us at that dinner that he said like, one day I'm going to kill myself, because I'm, you know, this is going to progress, and I don't want to be here without knowing who you guys are.
Yeah.
And
wow. Yeah.
And so like this was a period of my life that was just like incredibly painful, and I had struggled with depression and suicidal thoughts basically since my sophomore year of college. And the only thing that kind of kept me tethered was the idea that like I really believe that in my heart of hearts that if I were to do that after what had happened to my sister, my mom would get the call and she would drop dead.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I can't do that to her, but I also didn't want to live. So I wasn't making any progress in my life. There was a lot of pain. And then that's when I had my kind of first look at a different kind of medicine, because from ages 18, to 30, I was on over 20 different kinds of psychiatric medications. Like, I was like, I'm broke, I'm sick, fix me. And I went everything, I was like, and I just like put my agency in these people's hands who didn't even know me that well. But I had met, this is actually a hilarious connection. So when I was my last year in LA, so I was 28, I got contacted by the Nice Jewish Boys calendar.
Okay. The actual name, or
it was on the Ellen show. Literally it was just like a calendar of like nice Jewish boys.
Bro, okay.
And and when Ellen had that calendar on the show, like some of the guys from the calendar got together and we created a skit.
Okay.
That was like advice for moms to tell their daughters how to land a nice Jewish guy. It was just okay. We didn't get on Ellen, but Ellen did put the skit on her website. And one of the guys that I met for this skit, his family had just started a ketamine clinic in LA.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so, at this point, I'm doing so poorly that I'm willing to try anything.
Yeah.
And so I started doing ketamine infusions. And ketamine infusions is now that I'm older and I've done different kind of more plant-based medicines, ketamine is this really fascinating bridge between I think the Eastern and Western medicine worlds and ideologies, because it's an anesthetic that is made in a lab, but the way that it's used in infusions is it's done intravenously, and you dissociate and have very intense visuals. And so that was kind of my first glimpse into psychedelic medicine.
How did that, because anytime you're dealing with these powerful substances, first it's kind of backtrack real quick, just let me summarize this, just so incredible that, your life was pain for such a long time. Obviously everyone's, different, but just the fact that it's just sounds like the reality was just every day, right? The grind of the physical pain, and then you mentioned the shame, so it's that extra layer, and that just continual, am I even making the right step? The depressive aspect of that too. I get it, man. That is that's a lot for anyone. And what's interesting too, though, is that throughout this, this Titanic of pain and suffering, there's always this golden thread of humor, though, that seems to kind of connect a lot of it. I know your disposition now, but even just before then, talk about your time still in the improv comedy scene. There's even though that there was that intense suffering, it sounds like there's always some kind of humor or that perspective of the comedy in that too.
I can look back on it, I can add humorous parts to it there, but it was very, very dark for a very long time. And I just thought that I was playing a waiting game. And I was I'll just wait for, 30 years from now, God forbid, when my parents are gone, then I'll be free to do it.
Yeah.
And it's funny you mentioned shame, because shame almost felt like the last good thing about me, because I was I at least remember enough of my good self to hate myself for what I've become.
I see what you mean.
The shame was a proof that I still had a compass. And so I couldn't I feel what the feeling was, but I could not do LA for one more day. It's funny. It's okay, what's it like here? Because in Connecticut, LA is basically synonymous with heaven. California is all you have to do is get there. Because when you grow up in the cold and the snow,
oh dude,
just fascinating about that. Does it have the same mythical promise here?
From here, well, it also depends where in Texas you are, right?
Okay.
Because even geographically, it varies. The reason why, all we know is that it really depends on who you ask. But I know the general sentiment from Texas, because Texas is like, in general, very heavily like Republican, right?
Right.
So they're like, no, we don't want to go to like liberal LA,
Yeah,
right? They're just
right.
so there's that aspect of it. There is, though, I think the recognition of if you want to go and be like a big city Hollywood celebrity, like there's obviously that. There's the great weather, undeniable. Latino culture, I mean, there's always so much Latino culture here, although there is a big difference between like Texan Latinos and California Latinos. That's a big division as well.
Even if they're like, because like I remember like knowing so many Mexicans in LA. Like, so there's even a difference between if you're still like from the same country in Latin America?
Yes.
Between Texas and LA?
Yeah, because
or California in general?
Yeah, just culturally, right? Like there's, because the Texas Mexico culture, like Tex-Mex, is different than Cali-Mex. It's just
right.
So it's just a different flavor. Like none's better or worse than the other. They just have different vibes, right? Like for example, the gang culture that was so prominent in LA still has like the remnants in the culture there. For example, like you'll see a lot more lowriders and like just like the fashion more like that, like cholo inspired. Then you probably never see that here in Texas. That's like one like difference, right? Even how but even culture, like how you dance, for example, cumbias is different.
Okay.
Like the cumbia vibe, it's danced differently here. It's almost always partner danced here, like together. Whereas in LA, California, it's almost like more separated or like solo. So there's different.
Is it because
approaches.
do Mexicans who go to like do they come from different parts of Mexico? Does that explain that like a Mexican
Right.
who ends up in the United States, Texas, might come from the east side of the country and then from the California, the west side of the country? Is that
Does affect it too. For example, like even just culture, like Mexico has people, just like any culture, right? Not every Mexican is the same, right? And a lot of it is like regionally, right? So northern Mexico, for example, there's obviously like the influence of the drug cartels, right? So like a lot of the culture and music is influenced through that, and also being so close to the States, like it's also more Americanized. Like, for example, there's a whole style of music called norteñas, which literally means northern, or like the northern music, and that is music of the north of Mexico, right? The borders Texas. That is more almost like country style, but like older country
in the
vibe.
desert, yeah,
like desert vibes,
right.
And the people there are more like agrarian. It's more small town. It's more rural, more like hardworking, honest people, right? That's like the reputation there. Like if you say your word, like that's your like. I don't need to sign anything. Like my word is like enough. Like it's like very man's man type vibe.
Okay.
Where my family's from is from Jalisco, from Guadalajara. So it's more like central Mexico. Gets the reputation of being like city vibes, right? It's like kind of disconnected to like the rural, hardworking aspect of it. But Jalisco is like the home of tequila, home of mariachi music. So there's a much more like cultured vibe, to it. And so each of those will imprint differently or connect differently with the Texan conscious. But it is interesting. I mean, you could say the same thing, like Mexicans in New York City are different than like Mexicans in Texas, or because how you assimilate, maybe might be similar to the Jewish community as well. Like like is the LA's Jewish community different from the New York Jewish community?
I would say so, but like I would say like it's more necessarily like reflective of kind of like the same way like a regular dude from LA might be different from a regular dude in New York. But like Jews, like because we kind of have the shared history and experience, like even in like the separations, like they say like there's 6 degrees of separation between everybody on Earth. For Jews, there's probably like 2. We always if 2 Jewish people meet, we play like Jewish. We call it Jewish geography.
That's hilarious.
Like literally, it's like, okay, you went to school here. Well, my roommate from camp went to it's just like there's always because where it's called like the tribe. Like there's an actual like it's a it's a tribe. It's a group of people, but like. Yeah, but like I mean, like I will say, like I wouldn't know if like there's there's not much difference like an LA Jew versus a New York Jew versus a Miami Jew versus like you see the same thing, but the differences from like just anybody from those different places.
Just the people there, yeah.
Yeah.
The 6 degrees separation is great because that's how magicians are. So
really,
the magician community is so small, especially professional magician community. I mean, when we think about professional comedians, right? There's probably a couple thousand, I would say, maybe like they're doing it professionally. But professional magicians is even like smaller subset than that. I mean, maybe like 100, 200, maybe like in like all the
my
US, like
God.
it's very, very small. People actually are doing it for real, right? I don't know the actual number, but and also I just about the Mexican, the LA, Texas. If everyone gives me a shout out, like I may be completely wrong, but that's just kind of the vibe I've gotten from it. But neither is better or worse. It's just different culture infusion, so to speak. Wow, but just getting back to your story, man.
So I like
yeah.
I was living in LA and like I really wanted to love LA because like it was, it's like the promised land, and also like all my guys from high school went to like the schools that were where like we grew up. They went to the schools in the Northeast or like on the East Coast. And so like I felt very separate from like my childhood friends, and they all like, and I was like, wow, like they're all like making memories together without me. And so I was like, it took I really wanted to like LA. I think a lot of people really want to like LA because on paper LA is amazing. Like the food is great, the weather is great, the beaches is great, the people are beautiful. Like it's like and so if you're not super happy in LA, it's like, oh fuck, like am I like it like I have all the ingredients to make this great meal. Am I just like a terrible chef?
And that's a good point. Yeah,
it's true, and like so I think a lot of people are very quietly happy in LA, quietly unhappy in LA. If you're happy in LA, people fucking know about it.
No,
but like I was like, and also like COVID was very rough on LA because it became like very quickly a virtue signaling. Like they arrested a dude who was paddleboarding by himself.
That's annoying. That is, guys, come on.
Yeah. And so a few of my friends who I'd lived with in Israel had already moved to Austin. I'm like, you know what? Like, I need a change.
Yeah.
And so like I just like packed up my car and I just like whatever fit in the car. There's stuff in LA somewhere that's mine. But, like it just didn't fit in the car. And so I drove down.
Wow.
And I literally got to Austin New Year's Eve going into 2022. I got here like 6 hours before the ball dropped. Yeah, like I like
whoa,
I
okay, that's
stuff,
awesome.
Like I threw my stuff in a hotel room and I went to like a Great Gatsby party.
Yeah.
And like that was my start to Austin.
Dude, that's epic. What literally new year, literally new chapter.
And here and like it's I was always a sucker for round dates. I thought like round dates would save me. I would stop smoking weed, the first of the month. I would change this pattern that I like by myself at the stop belief when I moved to Austin. Like round dates don't work because like you usually like let yourself go completely right before the round date.
Yeah.
And then like the round date's there and you're not any different. And you're like, oh my God, I didn't get it done by, it didn't happen on this first of the month. I guess we'll have to wait till next first of the month. So I guess I might as well enjoy my last month and really just binge as much or really indulge.
Yeah, yeah.
But so I got a remote job that allowed me to move to Austin, and this year things were starting to get much more serious for me. My dad this was his last year, and it was crazy because there was every time I saw him, every time I spoke to him, there was like less of him, and it was really painful. And
was he still in Connecticut at this time?
Like he was still in Connecticut, and he was living alone, and he had a girlfriend that took good care of him. Like, I don't know if she was stealing from him after he died, but that's not my favorite.
Yeah.
It is more important to me that my dad felt loved in his last years of his life.
Yeah,
that's what's most important to me. But it was getting very bad. I remember I took a trip. I took PTO and I was on a trip to Nicaragua. And when I came back, my little brother who lived in New York City, and this poor kid, my little brother, he's the youngest. And because he was my older cousin who we adopted had moved to LA and I was in Texas, so my little brother really stepped up. He was the one who took my dad's keys when my dad could not. My dad was driving long past when he should have been.
Man, yeah.
And my little brother had to do that. And he called and he was like, Dad, we had to get live-in kind of not live-in but daily nurses for Dad. But then those people quit in 2 weeks because they were like, this man needs to be in a facility. We can't give him ethical care here.
Oh, wow.
We have to, it's wrong and we're liable. If we can't do it.
Yeah.
And so I remember like I went and visited my dad, and like I just knew that was the last time I was ever going to see him. And then we got home, and like I got back to Texas, and I was looking for a home to put him in, because he couldn't live by himself and nobody would come daily. And my dad never wanted to be in a home. And I remember I was in my apartment on Red River in downtown, and I remember being on the couch, and I was like, Dad, like, I don't know if you can hear me, but like, if that's still your plan, like, we're looking for places to, you know, take care of you. Like, if your plan is to still, you know, take yourself out, it's got to be now. And, you know, a few days later, I remember getting a call from his girlfriend saying that he had taken, you know, a bunch of pills. And to be honest, man, like, I don't resent that at all. I have no judgment for what he did. If God forbid, if I'm ever in the same situation, I hope I have the fucking balls, you know. And if God has a problem with that, then I have a problem with God. Like, and so, and so I was, at this point I was, you know, 6 surgeries deep. I, you know, was dealing with so much hatred of myself, so much shame, and so much physical pain. And like, even though I still didn't, you know, want to hurt myself because of my mom, like, I just knew that, like, I needed a Hail Mary, because I couldn't do this forever. And I don't know exactly how it popped into my head, but I remember somebody talking about ayahuasca, and that it was just like this crazy like thing for depression, and like, you know, like, and I was like, and the truth is, when like I had, like, there was something in me that had already decided that I was going to do it even before I had knew exactly what it was. Because the truth was, I just needed a Hail Mary, or else I wasn't going to last much longer. Yeah. And all of this was kind of compounded by the fact that I didn't tell my dad this, and I didn't tell my mom this, because I didn't want them to suffer. And
it was like bottled up, like, for real. Yeah.
And so, and like I decided that I was going to do this, but like I even had hoops to jump through with that, because now that I've been a couple years in the psychedelic medicine community, I have a lot of respect for people who are doing it in like it's hard, like, for things that are indigenous medicines like ayahuasca, or like even like plant, like, you know, psychedelic medicine in general. It's hard to say what the right way to do it is, but there is a wrong way to do it. Like, that is, I'll tell you that for free. And but like, so, but like, one of the, for instance, like, you have to like I was a walking pharmacy, and like at that point I was probably on 5 different psychiatric medications, because I was on one thing for my mood, you know, one thing for depression, another thing to balance the side effects of that one out, and like, and then like, you know, something for sleep. And so when I talked to this ayahuasca center that I found in Costa Rica, they were like, okay, you got to talk to our doctor, because like, sounds like you are literally a walking pharmacy, and there are things that if you combine with plant medicine, creates a contraindication, you will die. You know, like, there's some, like, especially things that influence your serotonin system. You get serotonin poisoning or serotonin syndrome, and you die. Like, that's it. And so, wow, I was all paid up. I talked to the doctor. He gave me a schedule of how to wean off all my various medicines. And then like 2 weeks before my ceremony, and also like ayahuasca, you have to do something called a dieta, where it's like it's a very strict regimen of what you can not eat, not drink. Like, think of all your favorite things, none of that.
Yeah, like almost
like all the things you want to eat, you can't eat anything.
Yeah, to prepare your body for it.
Yeah, like, and also energetically, there's no like intimate touch, masturbation, like sex, like, because like it's a very like, tradition is, it's a very like, you know, important process to give the medicine a clean landing pad. But 2 weeks before, I was like, oh my God, I forgot to tell them about like this medication. I didn't try to lie to them. I was just on so much shit. I couldn't remember what I was on. And so I called them. I'm like, hey, my bad, I forgot about this. Is that okay? And they're like, not only is this not okay, here's your money. Don't call us again.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, why? Like,
But going back to my thing about like the ethical practices is like
Yeah.
that's good of them. They were like, dude, we can't trust you. You don't even know what you're on.
Yeah.
Like
No, yeah.
And like we can't have you like coming in like fucking dying
Yeah,
like, in our space. And
What?
like
yeah.
but that's good. Like
No,
like,
yeah, yeah.
and I was devastated. I like and my luckily I was, I found another clinic and I'll continue there. But like people who are working with psychedelic medicine, you should want to pay a good amount of money.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't get a discount tattoo. I wouldn't go discount skydiving.
Yeah.
There are certain things that like if it's too cheap, you should run.
Right.
And but the thing is, it's like the thing is, it's like sorry, what's that? Fuck.
Yeah.
Dude, it's gone so like I feel like
No,
so,
this is good.
yeah,
This is really good, man. It's really good. Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry,
No,
I can tell him to. Give me.
Yeah. Am I red? Am I very red? Or is, whatever. Yeah. Okay, so
fine. Okay,
so how should I pick back up?
maybe start with like you want to do discount skydiving. You want to do discount.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
like a good like center, like the one that I went to, it's a good amount of money, and they have their processes and protocols, and like they'll have you talk to a doctor, like. A bad center would be like, hey, do you have issues and like $500? Like, just like, come on down.
Yeah.
Like, we'll get you sorted. Like, that's bad news.
Yeah, I see what you mean
Like,
now. Yeah,
yeah.
They did the right thing by
No, they, like
but,
I was
yeah.
devastated, but like they did the
Right.
absolutely responsible thing. And so then I found another center, and I was like, hey, like here are all my like records of my med stuff. Like, please let me
everything.
come.
Yeah.
And so I get to Costa Rica, and this was just a really crazy moment in my life. Like it was very weird because we lost a little bit of my dad over time for a long time. By the time he died, like there was only a little bit of him really left. And I felt like I had done a lot of my grieving, while he was still alive. And so by the time I got to Costa Rica, he'd been gone for 4 months. I hadn't really thought about him at all. And I thought that was like weird. But like my dad was a big fan of Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
And so, and like that's like I always, when I hear that, I can't help but think of my dad. And I was in this little town called Jaco in Costa Rica. And I was at because the next day I was going to go to the retreat, and this little restaurant had like this tiny stage, and then the band, out of everything they could have played, they played "Have You Ever Seen the Rain" by CCR, which was the song that my dad and my sister used to sing together. And you could believe in coincidences, but like how many times do you have to roll the dice for like there's like
for that moment at that time,
exactly. And so it really made me feel like he was there with me. And so I went to do then I get to the center and I do my first ceremony, and it was like ayahuasca is not a recreational drug. Like it's like when you take the medicine, you tend to purge. You can throw up really hard and come out the other way. You sweat, you cry, you scream, you shake. It's nobody's like having a blast usually.
Yeah.
But my first ceremony was really, really meaningful. It helped me help me think about kind of because I had felt so wrong my whole life. I had cast everything in a very black or white kind of image, and the first ceremony helped me really understand how that affected my life and helped me soften some nuance. But the real thing is, so the second night, the night right after that, I had a ceremony, And I was like, I'm so excited. Like the first ceremony went so good.
Oh no.
Surely the second one will
Oh
be,
no.
like that's how things will go, right? And so like the first night when I took my second cup, 30 minutes later, like I threw up like really hard, and like it just clicked on, and like it was full go from there.
So even if you throw up, like the medicine still does its work, or
So if you throw up right after taking a cup, they'll say like, hey, like that didn't have time to absorb. But but like once it goes in, then yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
And then, but like the second night, like I took my second cup and I threw up, but then it didn't feel like it did the first night. And so like, oh my God, it's not working. It's not working. It's not working. I called like one of like the facilitators over, and I'm like, it's not working. It's not working. He's like, dude, like fucking relax. Like
Just chill, bro.
Like, nobody's saying you can't have more, but like chill.
Yeah.
And so like, I took a third cup, and I took a third cup the first night too. So like I was like, but like I need to like kickstart this.
Yeah.
And then like I lay down, and I don't know how long I just like laid there, but like all of a sudden I sat up like the Undertaker. I'm like, oh no, like something's wrong.
Oh,
like,
no.
And like they try to calm me down, because like a lot of these indigenous cultures also use a medicine called hape, which is a very powerful, very fine tobacco that's actually, it's like a snus that is shot up your nose. It's wildly unpleasant, but it's really good for like grounding. They say it's like good to calm like the monkey mind.
Kind of yeah.
Okay. And but I was like that the ship had sailed,
Man.
and I was like, it felt like my soul was having a fever dream. Like it was
Okay.
like, you know, like when you're sick and you throw the covers off and you put them back on, like you're rolling around, you can't find like solace.
Yeah.
Like my soul was going through that. What? And I was like, and I was screaming and crying but here's the thing is like, again, like I can't speak for every, lineage of ayahuasca all over the world.
Right.
But in my experience, ayahuasca is done around other people, but it's not done with other people. Because like you and I might be laying on mats next to each other, but we're not allowed to talk to each other because everyone's going through their own thing.
Yeah.
And the facilitators, like they are there to make sure you do not physically hurt yourself. If you have to get up and go to the bathroom, they do that.
Yeah.
But like whatever's coming up, that's like your shit to work on. Like they're not there to hold your hand through it. But like I remember very clearly that like I remember like the maestro come over to me, and this guy does not like he's from an indigenous tribe. He speaks like only a little English, and he's like, brother, like we're about to end the ceremony, and we want to end it on a good note. Can you help me? And I'm like, wow, I must be making a fucking scene. Look at this.
What were you doing, bro?
I was screaming and crying. I wasn't trying. But
but you're just getting
like it was like,
a lot to work through. Yeah,
purging it and like and I like we closed the ceremony, and I was like heartbroken because I was like, this is it. Like this was the last stop. Like I worked so hard for this, and I don't understand. Like I was talking with the facilitators, I'm like, I've worked so hard. I don't understand why the medicine would do this to me. And he was like, dude, like you were so full of expectation that the medicine had nowhere to go. Like, and it reminded me of like, I grew up on fantasy books. Fantasy books have been like a huge part of my like my development. They've taught me a lot of lessons. And there's one book, this series, The Chronicles of the Unhewn Throne. And this prince, like every firstborn of his royal family, gets into this monastery to worship and learn about the god of emptiness. And when he first got there, he's like, this is so dumb. Why would you value emptiness? And so the head monk takes his bowl that they use soup for, and instead gives him a rock. And then over the next week, like when everyone else is getting soup, the guy just like pours it over the rock.
You just can't. Yeah.
And then when he's starving, the monk goes like, I bet you would love an empty bowl. And then like, but I didn't have any kind of closure that night. I went to bed like really upset and just hopeless.
Yeah.
Then the next day I was like, oh my God, like this is a microcosm for how I've lived my life in my 20s.
It like made sense.
Like I had such a like growing up whether it was, in the prep school that I was in, coming from, a traditional, Jew, not my family was very observant, but like coming from a community that's traditionally more traditional, like I had a very clear view for how my life should go. Like, and then it went, then it started going like off the rails. Like I felt like I was very much in track with all of my peers, like, going A, B, C, but then I went A, B, C, pound sign. I'm like, oh my God, no. like I fucked this up so hard I'm not even in the alphabet anymore. and I saw all my friends go like D, E, F, and I was like pound sign, star, winky face emoji. It's just like, it kept like getting weirder. And I was like I'm like, and I realized like going back to the ceremony, like I was so like, I had such a clear, rigid expectation for how my life was supposed to be going that it felt like I wasn't living life at all. In the same way that because I had that experience the first night with the medicine, because it wasn't like that, I felt like the medicine was not working when clearly it was working.
That's such a great analogy, though. Yeah. Like you were so full with so much already that the medicine. That what a great weird analogy. And it didn't reduce my suffering. I would not wish that night on anybody breathing, but like it made it worth it and like makes sense.
Yeah. And so I had, when I started with psychedelic medicine, I think that I started in the same way that a lot of people did, in the sense that like if you are reaching for ayahuasca, your life has probably not been a party thus far. Like this is not fun, as you can tell. But I think like a lot of people, I was like, this is a silver bullet. I'm gonna go to the jungle, drink this weird stuff, have a vision, and like come back.
The Hail Mary, as you said,
exactly. But that's the start of your journey. It's not the end of it, because you have to integrate it.
I can't agree more. I actually never done ayahuasca myself, but truly, truly fascinated by it. And just to kind of recap as we kind of bring this conversation to a close, I think this has been just a huge introduction, really, just to your story. I want to do many more of these. I want to share just a couple feedbacks or just takeaways that I've gotten from first. Bryan, thank you so much for thank you for being here, man. Like, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're a human. You're a person today. Glad you made it this far. Glad that for all the incredible suffering and everything, that it has been part of your journey, but you didn't let it define you or limit you as who you could be. And the fact that you've been able to grow from it and now share the wisdom that you've gone from the deep end, where many of us are, or few are, you've been able to kind of grab the wisdom there and to share that. I think the story with your father is one of the most incredible stories I've ever heard. Bro, that's it really, it's such a nuanced and specific situation, but it just, my heart, of course, right, goes out to your father, to your family, like everyone, just for that scenario situation, but also the healing that's come from it, and having a father who also loves CCR, Creedence Clearwater Revival. I think it's always important to that. Yeah, even amidst like the rain, that there's always still the sun out there, right? And I don't know. I think that you've done I can imagine this has not been an easy road at all to go. But the fact that you've come this far, I can't wait to see how further you will go and how you can keep shining your light out here, man. And so I just appreciate you being here. Thank you for taking the time to be here. So glad that we connected. And let's do this again, brother.
Dude, this was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
That's it, folks. Catch us next time. Rudy's Roundtable for more, guys.